1, 2, 3, 4.
Turn it over here.
Good there?
I'm good.
Everybody's good?
I'm good here.
Miss? And you're ready as well? Oh, I can see now. I've got you. Perfect. All right, so my name is Sergeant Rick Hernandez. That is Rick-Hernandez. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Surprise Police Department. Just after 3 a.m. this morning, officers from the Surprise Police Department responded to a residence in the area of West Waddell Road and North Dysart Road for a report of a domestic violence related incident. Shortly after arriving on scene, an officer-involved shooting occurred. We can confirm that one subject is deceased on scene. There are no other injuries and no officers were injured. This investigation is centered around one residence here in this local neighborhood, and there is no threat to the surrounding community. We can confirm at this time that the deceased subject was armed with a firearm. However, we are not disclosing what type of firearm that is at this time. This investigation will be investigated by the Buckeye Police Department as part of the West Valley Investigative Response Team protocols. The employee involved is an officer with 6 years of experience. And again, we just want to reiterate to the community that our investigation is focused on one residence here in this neighborhood, and there is no outstanding parties. All parties involved are cooperating, and there is no threat to the public. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
When you get the call, domestic situations are always high pressure, high intensity. How many officers were dispatched, and how many were, had the one officer involved, or was there more than one involved in the shooting?
So what I can confirm at this time is that only one officer discharged a firearm. There was 2 officers on scene when the officer-involved shooting took place. Any of that other information I do not have at this time, and Buckeye Police Department, their public information officer, will be the source for the rest of those answers as the investigation continues.
Do you know who called 911 and what they said on the call?
So the 911 call came from within the residence.
Were there more than the suspect and the victim in the house? Was it just those 2 people, or do we not know?
We know there was more than just the 2 parties involved. Again, all parties are present and accounted for, cooperating with investigators. None of those other parties were injured. The only injured person we have is a deceased at this time.
Are you going to tell us who that is?
At this time, as the investigation is still ongoing, we are not releasing the name of the deceased. However, when we are done with the investigation here on scene, we will provide a media release with the deceased information.
Did the deceased wave the gun, or were they holding the gun? Where was it on them?
So all the details involving that officer-involved shooting and the details that led up to that shooting are being investigated by the Buckeye Police Department. At this time, it's a little early investigation to release those details. What we can confirm is that subject who is deceased did have a firearm in their possession.
What was the call for initially? Was it a threat? Was somebody scared?
So what I have the initial report for that was called into 911, it was reporting a domestic violence incident. The details of that incident, again, are still under investigation. This officer-involved shooting occurred just after officers arrived, and Buckeye Police Department will be assuming that investigation as well. And again, those details will most likely be coming as the investigation continues in the upcoming days.
Were any non-lethal means used first to try to de-escalate?
I don't have that information at this time. I'm certainly hopeful that Buckeye will be able to produce that for you.
Were the officers wearing body cameras?
Yes, so we had 2 officers and both had their body-worn cameras on them, and they were activated.
Are those, is that footage going to be released at any point?
So following the West Valley Investigative Response Team protocols, this investigation will be investigated by Buckeye PD. That'll be a subject of an internal and criminal investigation, again handled by Buckeye PD. It'll be forwarded to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office for review and or charging. And at the time that the Maricopa County Attorney's Office makes that decision is typically when our office, our department, the Surprise Police Department, will make that body-worn camera available.
Was there any attempt by the officers to try to keep that gunshot victim alive?
Absolutely. So once the officer involved shooting occurred, officers did render aid on scene.
And where was the deceased shot? Like on the body?
That information we're not disclosing now.
Did the shooting happen outside or inside?
It was contained within one residence in the area.
Tell us how your officers were doing. I know they weren't injured, but this is something that's just weighs heavy on any officer's mind. How are they doing that as of now?
So as of right now, and with anything, our domestic violence situations, any victims of crime, we typically will reach out, and that's the case with this, to provide everybody involved with resources. That'd be victims, witnesses, officers, and so there's a variety of resources that are going to be shared with everybody involved.
Does this residence have any history of calls or incidents before?
So we don't have we have a very, very safe community. We don't have a lot of nefarious history with this residence or any of the residents in this area. This is, again, an isolated incident.
Could you give a general age, gender of the deceased?
It is a male. Anything else? All right, I appreciate your folks' time. And again, like we just want everybody to always understand, if you're having any issues, you or a loved one are experiencing issues with domestic violence, please reach out, contact your local police department. There are resources, counseling available to you to always help. And thank you. Stay safe.